Okay, I am not sure um, if I am live or not. So, Rebecca, can you let me know if I've popped up yet or not? Okay, this is Beth Hovis. I am the Sweet Urban Living Lady, and I am excited to come to you today. Even though I'm having a little bit of trouble with my streaming, and it's not the streaming, it's me. I'm learning a new platform. But I just want to say welcome. I'm so glad if you're joining me. I'm so glad you're here. And say hello, drop a note in the chat, something like that, because I'd love to know that you're here and I'd love to chat with you as we go. So my name is Beth Hovis. I'm a naturopath, an herbalist, an iridologist, iridology instructor. I've been in the natural health field for many years, and I have spent about 7 or 8 of those years as an educator, and now I'm working as a business coach, helping those who are in the business wellness field as they are practitioners. And so one of the things I would love to talk about today is the law of similars for your business. And hopefully people are seeing me now. I'm not sure why I'm having trouble, but if you could join in, let me know you're here when you get here. That would be great. So still says upcoming. All right. I have no viewers. Okay, let's just take a deep breath. Let me go and see if my live is showing. It still shows waiting. Still shows upcoming. Okay. I wonder if this is a different link and people are not able to see me. Wait, there's Rebecca. There you are. Okay. Yay. All right. So I've got one person. Hey, Rebecca, thank you for joining me today. All right. So yeah, this is my second YouTube live. I've been doing Facebook live, and each one is a different animal, but I just want to say thank you for joining me. If you're coming in, I really appreciate you being here and saying hey. So today what I want to talk about is the law of similars, which if you are in the natural health field or been around natural health, you may be familiar with that term. And if you are, that would be great. If you're not, I'll explain it a little bit. But I'm just going to reintroduce myself because I feel like I'm just now starting to get going now that I can see that someone is here with me today. So I'm Beth Hovis. I'm a naturopath, an herbalist, iridologist, iridology instructor, and I'm a business coach for natural wellness practitioners. And that is where I am focusing these days, is more on helping other wellness practitioners get their business up and going. I love helping you take the principles of health, the things that we've learned to help others, and apply them. If you're not a natural wellness practitioner, apply it to your own life. But if you are a business person in business helping others as a practitioner, helping you apply things to your business. And so being here on YouTube, it's been a little glitchy today, but being here on YouTube means that I can reach a wider audience, and I'm really excited to do that. The Sweet Urban Living space is a place for anyone who wants to, live a good, healthy life, and especially for those who are in the wellness field and want to build a thriving wellness practice. I have a lot of things under my Sweet Urban Living umbrella. And today we're going to talk about the principle of the law of similars and how it applies to our business. So you're going to have failure in your business, right? We have things that we try, they don't work. We try, it doesn't work. And how we respond to those things can make a difference in how our business goes. So What I want to show you though is how even small failures, those small doses, or even those big failures where things are happening and you're going, why are these big things happening? How we frame it, how we look at it can actually be the remedy that we need to make us stronger and move our business towards success. So this is a kind of deeper work that I do inside my Roots to Results coaching. One of the things that my Roots to Results coaching does is it helps people from, getting started in their business if they don't know how, if they've never been in business before and they just need to know the nuts and bolts of how to start a business, or if you've been in business for a while and you just want to help your business grow and get your message out there, getting new clients, more clients, whatever it is that you're longing to do. So if you're ready to take these concepts further than what we're doing here and transform your business, Roots to Results coaching, that group coaching, that it really does make a difference. So what is the law of similars? What do we mean by that? Well, the law of similars says that a large dose of something can create illness or symptoms, right? But in small, minute doses, that same substance can actually stimulate our bodies for healing. And that's the principle behind homeopathy and gemotherapy. I always say that wrong. I get that's one of those things. I'm Southern. I say gemo, but it's gemotherapy. So our businesses and our thinking work in a very similar fashion. So if you're here today, you're jumping on, please say hey. Tell me where you're coming in from. Tell me if you have a wellness practice. Tell me what kind of things you offer in your wellness practice. I'd love to see that. So when we're working with our businesses and we have this business thinking, how does the law of similars work with that? So we can feel like, and I've been here, I've done this, where I can feel like that my failures can be huge and they can be large. They can be crushing even with some of the things that I've been through. Having to close a business and pivot, or something like that, restart. All of those things can make you feel like, well, what's the point of trying? And we can take it personally and let it infect, just like we have things infect us and make our body sick. Those thoughts can infect our business thinking and affect our business as well. So what we want to do is we want to take those times when we're looking at something and we're going, wow, I was a failure in that, to actually going, maybe I'm not a failure. Maybe this is a learning point. Maybe this is a lesson. So the first thing we want to talk about is, as we deep dive into this, is when you take small risk, asking for a sale, trying out a workshop, going to a local event and setting up a booth, and or posting content, something that you think, man, this is going to be the greatest, this is going to really open doors for me, but for some reason it doesn't really land. You can look at that in a couple of ways. You can look at it and look at, hey, I learned from something from that, or I can look at it as fatal, right? Like it's killing my business, it's killing me, it's killing everything, and I just can't, there's nothing for it. There's nothing I can do. This is just it. It's not going to work. But if we take that small, okay, I did a blog and, it didn't get the response I wanted, or I tried a workshop and only 2 signed up instead of the 12 I was expecting, or I had that booth at the local fair and, I really expected everybody to come to my booth because what I had was so fascinating, but they went to my neighbor's booth. We can look at that, we can compare, we can look at ourselves and judge and just go, well, it didn't work, and so I'm not good, I'm a failure, or whatever. Or we can look at it, and we can say that small dose can make me less afraid next time. It can show me what to do or what not to do, because failure reveals the how not to. Right? So when you think about it, sometimes it's the how not to do something. Maybe, it didn't land and I just need to change my message a little bit. Maybe it didn't land because I'm not identifying with the people and their struggles. Maybe it didn't land because I'm saying one thing, but the people that I'm actually presenting my message to, they don't have that issue. So every time we get failure, that's actually feedback, right? That's feedback. That's giving us data. That's giving us information. Edison actually said, I haven't failed. I have just found 10,000 ways that won't work. So he was tireless. He could have given, 10,000. Did he really find 10,000? I don't know. Does somebody know if he actually tried 10,000 ways? Because if he did, let me know, because I would love to know whether or not that's true, or if he was just doing a little hyperbole there, exaggerating. But did he really fail that many times? Did he really find 10,000 ways that something didn't work? But even if he did or didn't, the point is that small failures refine your process. Small failures show you ways to succeed that you may have never tried before. It's a trial and error. We're learning. And we want to take those trial and error moments, and just go, what will I do differently next time, right? So that's my third point. Failure keeps you from repeating the past. What we want to do with that information that we got is sit back and reflect, right? We want to sit back. We want to take the data from, the blog didn't land. The email didn't get very many responses. I didn't get very many people signing up to come see me when I went and had the booth. It did probably feel like 10,000 times, Rebecca. It probably did. Even if it really wasn't, it probably did. And I felt that way before too, sometimes, of I've tried. Why isn't this working? And then it's like, should I just pack up my bags and call it quits and go home? Because this is just too hard. But without reflection, we risk repeating mistakes. Without reflection, failure becomes inevitable almost, right? Because we're going to keep doing the same thing again and again. And we call that insanity. But when we use reflection, then failure becomes a dose of clarity. It's like we stop long enough and we sit back and we go, well, if that didn't work, how can I pivot? How can I spin around and pivot? What can I refine? And what can I not do again? It's a great place to start asking yourself questions. Failure also builds endurance. One of the things that, we think, well, failure, that means I should just, give up. And I felt that. But, it's like, we're not failures unless we don't get back up. You've probably heard that before. You've probably heard well, you're not a failure as long as you keep up and get back up again and keep trying. And in a way, that's really true. That's really true, that there may be times when, you just feel like, ooh, what's the point? And maybe it is time to go, that's not what I should be doing. I should be doing something else. But as long as we get up and we're trying again, we're going to build endurance. We're going to get strength. When you work out, one of the things that we talk about is, don't miss a day. Don't miss leg day. If you ever worked out in a gym, you have arm day, core day, leg day. You have different parts of the body that you focus on, and you don't want to focus on one part of the body and really build up that part to the detriment of another part of the body. So what we're doing is we're building up our endurance in business. When we sit back, we reflect, and we go, how can I do that again? We strengthen our resolve. And so small failures can actually toughen us up. It can build our muscles. The small mistakes, those small failures, even the big failures, I keep saying small, but it's like I want us to get that thought back in, kind of like Edison did, of it wasn't so much a failure as so much of it wasn't the way to do it. If it just wasn't the way to do it, then we stop looking at it as a failure. We stop thinking of it in terms that define us personally, if that makes sense. We stop looking at it as I'm a failure. I'm not good enough. I'm not working hard enough. I'm not doing the right thing. And we then start to build those muscles of endurance, and it helps us to handle bigger challenges. As we start handling those small challenges, it helps us to gain the strength for the bigger challenges. Now, failure is also a reality check. One of those things that we want to remember is that we can get, hey, look at me, I did all this, I'm the greatest. And maybe that's not you. Maybe you've never done that before. But failure can keep us in a place of, a good place of humbleness, of humility, because it strips away assumptions. It strips away the thinking that I'm doing this all by myself, and it brings us back to truth. It sharpens our next steps. It helps us sharpen what we're doing. So, this is another one of those things where, when you're with coaching, when you're with a coach, that coach is a guide. Just like you as a wellness practitioner are a guide to helping other people get their wellness back. That's what we do in Roots to Results. We're helping you to talk about the wins and not the failures. We look at the failures too, don't get me wrong. We look at what doesn't work, but we try to keep the, hey, this is working. This is where you shine. This is your identity. This is identity, who you are. This is your design, how you do things. And when you're doing things in your identity and through your design, then putting the layers of because you can get business, you can go read a book, you can go watch YouTube, you can get business coaching everywhere and do it, do a really good job with it. But there's something about having someone walk alongside you. And I would just, if that's something that you're interested in, I'd love to talk to you about that. Drop info in the comments, or, reach out to me through sweeturbanliving.com, and, let's just chat about it. So those are the things that we look at as, that's what failure does for us when we take it as a remedy. When we look at it, in homeopathy, if I get into the poison ivy, then I'm going to go take the homeopathic remedy, roost tox, or something like that will help with that. In a large dose would cause all the rashes and everything, but in a small dose helps to clear them up. Well, in business, we want to do the same thing. We want to take those small doses so that as we are going through whatever it is, we let it build up our resilience. We let it build up our muscles. We let it build up our endurance. We let it build up our courage and our conviction that what we're doing is the right thing. So one of the things that I have for those of you who are in my Facebook group, Holistic Wellness Practitioners Coaching and Education Group, and if you're not a part of that group and you want to be, then there'll be a link in the show notes. I'll add that. We're going to go through this exercise of, figuring things out, figuring out what's going on. So if you printed that out, grab it. If you didn't, you can print it out later. But what I want to do is I just want to go through this exercise to just kind of ask you some questions to help you get thinking. And the first thing I want to do with you is I want to make sure that I want you to think of something, name a trigger, something that has happened recently in your business that really brought up your emotions, brought up that sense of, why am I even bothering? Why am I why am I doing this? I'm a failure. Whatever that thought is, whatever that feeling is. And I want you to write it down. Maybe it was a no-show client. Maybe it was a lot of no-show clients. Maybe people just don't show up. Maybe that workshop, like I said, it didn't fill up. Maybe you thought, hey, I'm going to have 20 people, 50 people, and two showed up. Whatever it is, the person didn't come back. Write that down. It may be something totally different. It may not even be something in your business, but think about that. And then what I want you to do is I want you to identify the feeling. What was the trigger? That's the first part. What triggers these things? And then the second thing is identify the feeling behind it. When the workshop doesn't fill up, when the clients keep being no-shows or whatever it is, and you're looking at your calendar and you're going, where did they go? I had 10 people on the calendar, only 2 showed up this week. Identify how that made you feel. It could be angry, it could be afraid, it could be super frustrated, but what did it make you feel? And where did that voice of I failed creep in? When did you start to internalize it and make it about you and say, I did this? After you do that, write that down. And then I want you to reframe the lesson. Reframe what happened so that it's a lesson, so that it's something that is the remedy for. So here's where we want to shift. Write down 3 good things that can come out of this or that came out of this. Or could, if it hasn't happened yet and you're going, well, this is what good I want to come out of it. Think about that. For example, say that your message flopped. Say that your whatever you did, your live stream, your weekend workshop, it flopped. Well, let's turn that around and go, well, what did that do? Well, it taught me to refine my message. It taught me to do things a little bit differently. Or maybe, this is kind of small and maybe still a little bit painful, but maybe when that happened, it freed up my time to improve my intake system. It gave me time to work on something else. Or, now this is really key, did that rejection or what felt like rejection, did it clarify who your real clients are? Who are your real clients? Who is it that you are really reaching out for? Because one of the things that we talk about a lot is, when we go through training as natural health professionals, we're taught that the foundations of health, the water we drink, the food we eat, the sleep we get, the exercise, supplements, emotional, spiritual health, all of those things, when they're good, when they're in order, when we're doing the right things, then we can help as wellness practitioners. Well, we can help everyone because everyone needs the foundations. But if you're helping everyone, you're probably not really getting a clear message of who you can actually help, because there are a lot of people out there in the natural wellness field and they're called to help women with fertility issues, or they're called to help men with stress and weight issues, or they're called to help maybe even men who deal with cancer. Maybe you're called to help children. Maybe you're called to help, those who deal with autoimmune issues. Whatever it is, it doesn't mean that anybody and everybody who comes to you wouldn't be helped. What it means is maybe perhaps the way to help them is by targeting, getting that niche client, getting that, who am I helping, what are they struggling with, and how can I help them? What is the message that resonates with them, right? And this is exactly the kind of reframing that we do in the Roots to Results coaching. So you don't have to process this alone. So let's tie all this together. As you're going through this and you're looking at your worksheet and you're tying it all together and you're going, hey, does this really work? Can I take these small failures or even the really big ones and chunk it down into small lessons and go, how does this really actually help me? Can I turn this around? Can you see that what we might call failures are not failures, and how when we reframe it and we learn the lesson from it, it becomes a stepping stone, and it can reduce your fear, because the lessons are revealed, you're building the endurance, you're keeping aligned with truth. So instead of quitting, you learn. Instead of shrinking back and going, oh, I can't do this after all, you think big, you grow, you change, you adapt, and you make a difference in other people's lives. So, I don't want to just give you strategies and leave you on your own. What I want to do is help work with you to see if this is something that can really help you grow your business, grow and make a difference in your business. So, what I'd like to do now is it's the first Friday of the month of October, and when we were doing the Facebook lives, when we were doing this same thing here on YouTube that we do in Facebook, the first Friday of the month, what I would do is I do a tapping, emotional freedom technique is the name of it, and we just call it tapping because we go through a tapping process, and I'm going to take you through one that can help you take those small failures and turn them into remedies for success. So this is a little bit long one. A lot of times the tapping are only the setup where you tap on the side of your hand, and then you do 3 rounds tapping on meridian points, and I'll show you as we go. It's no big deal. If you've never done it before, it's super easy. But all we're doing when we're tapping is we're clearing the emotional energy, the negative frequencies, and replacing. So as we tap and we do away with the old negative, we can bring in the good positive, and our bodies align with that. The cells of our body, the nervous system believes it, and it sends the message to every part of our body. So I hope you'll join me for this. This is one of those that's really, kind of cool to have this go through. So the first thing we do is we start by tapping on the side of our hands. We call this a karate chop, where you just take one hand and you tap the side where you would do a karate chop on the other. And you just do a setup statement, and usually it's 3 statements that start with even though something, we're going to change that something into something positive. We're going to create the remedy, and then we're going to do the meridian. So we'll do the eyebrows, the side of the eye, under the nose, the chin, on the collarbone, under the arm, and on the top of the head. So just follow along, and I'll do it a little bit slow so that you can do it with me. And if there's a word that you want to change, if something else feels a little bit better, like it would fit, that would be great. If you want a copy of the tapping or the worksheet that I did, you can get access to that in my Facebook group. And again, I'll have the link to that in the show, in the comments. So here we go. Let's do the tapping. So join with me. Here we go. So even though I've believed that failure means I'm not good enough, I now see the truth. Small failures are not final. They are the remedy that builds my success. I'm going to slow down a little bit so y'all can go with me. And even though my spirit, soul, and body have carried the pain of failure, I choose to release that weight and learn the lessons hidden inside it. And even though I felt discouraged when things don't work out, I honor all of me. Spirit, soul, and body. And I invite God's perspective of growth, resilience, and hope. Okay, let's go to the eyebrow. So We're going to just talk to our own spirit. Spirit, I bless you to rise in truth and identity. You are not crushed by failure. You are strengthened by small doses of challenge. You release wisdom through every lesson. On the chin, you align with God's truth, not the lies of defeat. Collarbone. Spirit, you are resilient, vibrant, and free. Under your arm, you are anchored in hope and faith. Spirit, you lead with courage and confidence. Soul, you've carried the sting of failure. You've believed mistakes mean I'm not enough. I release the pain of comparison and self-judgment. My emotions no longer spiral in shame. On the chin, I release the weight of discouragement and regret. Collarbone, I choose joy, peace, and clarity. Soul, you are anchored in truth. You align with resilience and wisdom. Back to the eyebrow. Body, I hear where you've carried failure and fear. Nervous system, I bless you with calm and balance. Heart, release heaviness, let it go, and carry hope. Shoulders, let go of the weight of defeat. Gut, digestion, be free of tension from past mistakes. Every cell vibrates with strength and renewal. My whole body is learning and adapting. I am resilient, I am grounded and strong. We're back at the eyebrow. I am not defined by failure. Side of the eye. Failure is not fatal. It's feedback. Under eye. I don't have to fear mistakes. Under the nose. I am not stuck in the past. Chin. I release the lie that failure means quit. Collarbone. I release the lie that failure means not enough. Under your arm, I embrace the truth. I embrace learning. I embrace that every setback is a setup for growth and success. Back to the eyebrow. My spirit, soul, and body resonate higher now. Side of eye. I align with growth and forward motion. Under eye. My resilience attracts new opportunities. Under nose. Clients are drawn to my perseverance and authenticity. Chin. I emanate confidence, wisdom, and strength. Collarbone. I am magnetic to the right people and ideas. Under the arm. I live in the resonance of resilience and hope. Top of the head. I am tuned to the frequency of growth and success. Back to the eyebrow. What the enemy meant for harm, God turns for good. Side of eye. All things work together for my good. Under eye. My failures are testimonies in the making. Under the nose. My work is valuable and God blesses it. Chin. Doors open. Resources align. Lessons become stepping stones. Collarbone. I am trustworthy with growth and success. Underarm. I see increase in wisdom, clients, and opportunities. Top of head. I walk in blessing, resilience, and favor. One more round. Can y'all tell my voice is getting more firm and like, hey, yeah, this is really true. Cool. This is great. Round 7. Here we go. Eyebrow. Spirit, soul, and body are aligned in truth. Side of eye. Flowing as one whole being. Resilient in the face of failure. Under that was the side of the eye. Resilient in the face of failure is under the eye. Under the nose now. Clients are drawn. Resources flow. Let's go to the chin. I live in peace, resilience, and hope. Collarbone. I am healed from the lies of defeat. Underarm. I am filled with joy, strength, and expectancy. I am free. I am resilient. And I am moving towards success. All right, take a deep breath. So, if you've joined, and you want to say hey to me, where are you from, who's watching, I'd love to see names, new, old, I'd love to say hello to you. I've got a lot of people who are used to watching me on Facebook Live, and I'm like, I know it's a transition getting everybody to come to YouTube. I know it. But if you're here and you would like to say hey, new viewer or someone who's been with me for a while, I'd love to say hey to you. So before we go, as we're wrapping up today's session, I just want to, remember that we can take those failures and they can be, I keep saying small. And the reason why, hey, Ray Ray, hi. Yeah, I'm so glad you came today too. Because that's not look so. Ray Ray just said that she's so glad she came. I hope I read that name right. I want to be right. Is that you, Rihanna? Or is that a different name? I don't know. So here we go. I just want to remember that because a lot of things, when I keep saying small, I don't want it to seem like I'm making light of some things that may have been really big. Because we can go through things that may seem like really big failures. And I've shared, and I'm not going to go into that here now, but I will put a link to that as well. I'll go back in. Okay, good. I'm so glad you made it. These names on YouTube, because I remember starting out YouTube, I named myself a different name because my oldest daughter at the time was like, well, nobody names themselves something. They do like these screen names. I'm like, okay, well now I'm like, no, that doesn't work. So yeah. Oh, good. Glad you're here. Yeah. Thank you for being here. Glad you joined in. So yeah, one of the things that I personally went through was closing the family herb shop. And I tell that story in a different video on YouTube. It's there on YouTube, so I can share that for anybody who wants to listen, because it's just a little bit of my story. But the that would have felt like a huge, large, it's not a small failure, it felt huge. So I'm not making light of anyone who's had a huge failure, because we can learn from the big failures as well. But what we want to do is we want to just kind of chuck them down, take those big ones and put it, get the small dose, get it down to something, and just deal with one part of it at a time. Take that worksheet, because that's one of the things that I've had to do for myself, is I've had to go through things multiple times, right? I've had to go, what did that tell me? Where did that belief, that false belief, enter in, right? That made me think, oh, I'm a failure, or I'm not good enough, or something bad is always going to happen. If I try this, nothing, I've tried and nothing ever works for me. And I've had to go, and just the very simple worksheet that we did, it's very, it's a guide. That's all it is. And it's something that can help. So what we want to do is think of what can grow as we go, and you take, it's a takeaway. What grows out of those small failures? What grows? Well, when we look at it, like Edison said, he, instead of going, well, I'll never invent the light bulb, what he said is, I've just figured out 10,000 ways that it didn't work. And I'm not getting into the who actually invented what. This is just something we can take and use, is, we can take that and go, well, I just figured out that doesn't work. And I figured out that doesn't work. And I figured out, and one of the best things for me personally is not just trying to figure it out on my own, but going to God in prayer and going, well, God, what do you want me to know about that? Because, yeah, sometimes it's me. I made the mistake. I'm the one who did something that I shouldn't have done. And sometimes it's circumstances or somebody else, or, whatever. But going back and just going, well, what do you want me to think about me? What do you think about me, God? How do you think that I'm a terrible business person? Do you think that I'm a failure? Do you think that I'm never going to be able to succeed? No, that's not ever. When you look in the Bible, he never looks at his people and say, well, you're never going to be able to succeed. What he says is, I'm with you. Hey, you don't feel like you're Moses. I can't speak good enough. That was his thing. I can't lead the people because I can't speak well. Gideon, I can't lead the people and overcome this situation because I'm the seventh son of the least tribe of the whatever, and I'm a coward. And God's going, no, you're not. And it's like, and every time he's like, you're not, because I'm with you. So for me personally, taking this and going back and going, how do I pray about this? And God, who do you think I am? What do you think about me? What do you think about these areas where I feel like, I have failed and I've let you down, or I'm not doing what I should do? What do you think about that? Let me take that in and rethink that the way that you think that. For me, that's even more powerful than doing it myself. Is because when I partner with God and who he thinks I am and who he says I am, then I'm sitting here going, okay, the truth of who I am. And I'm back to identity and design. Who I am, who I'm called, what he calls me, and how I'm supposed to go about helping others. Man, that comes together. So it brings conviction. And I'm going back to, as we were going through that tapping round, we started out, we were just naming the things that we were like, yeah, that's not good. Yeah, that's not. And then we got to the positive. And it's like, oh, if this is who God thinks I am, then this lifts me up. this picks me up and sets my feet on solid ground where I can stand, I can walk, I can move forward. So I just want to encourage you today that, whatever you're doing in business, whatever kind of business it is. Yes, I'm mostly geared to helping those who are in the wellness practice, but I do have a few people who kind of jump in from time to time who are in a totally different business. This is transportable. Take this and put it to whatever business that you're doing. If you're not in business, just take it and apply it to your personal life, because we all feel, somewhere along the line, we feel like we're failures, but our failures can give us conviction when we learn, when we get the endurance, when we get the muscle memory, when we go, hey, I'm not going to let this defeat me. Instead of letting doubt creep in, we let the conviction overcome the doubt, and that becomes our anchor when the storm hits. So thank y'all for joining me today. We're going to do this again next week, and we're going to talk probably about conviction overcoming doubt. That's what I have in my mind, but sometimes God comes along and he says, let's talk about this, because I was going to talk about conviction overcoming doubt today, and he was like, no, I want you to talk about this first. So this is what I did first. So thanks so much for joining me. I'm really glad you're here, and keep commenting. The comments make it more fun, because then I interact with y'all. Today I just did my own thing, but come in, comment, join me next week. And if you want the worksheet, if you want to download the tapping, then follow the link that I'll have in the notes on Facebook, because that's where I'm going to house that. And I will see y'all next week.